On top of my screen, we have Osovian. I've been following her for years, and she is that lady you go to when you want to know whether you should marry that guy or not. But I'm kidding. But she does stand for women's rights and everything women related, and how women should be looking after themselves, how women should be approaching business, approaching money, approaching love, approaching life. And it's in her name, sovereignty. When it comes to women asserting themselves and who they are and finding out who they are first above everything else. So Uyeloy. And then we have Uputubanzi. Uputubanzi is he is our pioneer when it comes to teaching us finances. If you follow him, you know that anything that has to do with financing, Mina, in my view, I could even call him a finance guru, a liberator, because he reads the nitty gritty. He knows the fine print that oftentimes Black people, our people, find themselves kuma contracts anzima with the bank with when it comes to estate planning, and not only estate planning, but it also he teaches you how to invest. So if you follow him, you will learn a lot around money, behaviors around money that set you up for failure. There's just so much you can learn from Ubudubans. Amani Dube is our political head. She has led campaigns like rand manipulation, that the rand, our rand was supposed to be 7 rands to a dollar. So if you remember that movement and you remember some of her, you definitely know some of her work through that movement. But basically, I can call her someone who keeps, I don't know, the pulse on the latest political news. She is at breast with everything that's going on there. And but not only that, she educates us, uplifts us when it comes to what we should know and what we should be looking out for. Yeah, she's a pioneer in her own right. And then we have Osisi uPrince Mtombeni. I would like for all of us to welcome her. Safika, Sis Princey. I'm just doing a mini intro of our panel tonight. Yeah, Sis Princey is for Africa for Nuclear, or South Africans for Nuclear, which is one of the foundations she is part of or co-founders of. And also she is for constitutional reform, which is another program that she is part of, or an initiative that she is part of. And we're learning a lot from her. She leads us as we navigate the law. I do not know my panel's professional titles, and I think it's okay because your work speaks for itself. So, mina Ntombenhle, I don't know what I am, but I'm here now. So I'm going to be hosting today's live. Yeah, but basically the aim of this live, I must say this, the aim of this live is something that I like, which is to raise the general consciousness of South Africans, Black South Africans. We're going to be educating each other on a couple of things, but more so we're going to be consciousizing each other about what we need to look out for when it comes to izinto ezenzeka ezweni lethu. So welcome everyone. Ngiyabonga for tapping the screen. Thank you for liking the live. Please do share the live because we're going to be discussing izinto ezibalulekile and we need people to participate, because one thing I would like for us to have a culture of as Black people on this platform, I want us to have a culture yokudlala, crash out, but at the end of the day, we must make a difference. We must make a difference. Every bit of our time, every time we get, kufanele senze umehluko, singagcini ngokwazana. We must capitalize on this network. We must capitalize on these platforms because siyawazi vele ukuthi they are not created for ukusikhulisa as abantu abamnyama. They're actually created to distract us and keep us away from everything eyenzakalayo in the background, from the laws that are being put out there that us Black or regular people are not even aware of. We understand alone. So as we play, as we joke around, bottom line. Bottom line is Black people need liberation in terms of their finances, in terms of our mindset. We need to be conscious of what's going on in our country, in the rest of the world, in fact, specifically what's going on in South Africa. So I believe these wonderful people you see in front of you possess that in essence and in abundance. Ngiyabonga. I think top of our program, Sisi Princey Uyaphila.
Hi, good evening, Sanbonan. I'm fine, thank you. And thank you for having me, Antley.
It's a pleasure, Sisi. It's a pleasure. I don't know. I think I'm going to be driving the program since I've already started. I think we are here just to go over, Sisi, some of the recent ruling around the draft white paper that you had come here on our socials to get us together. But basically, what I would like for you to start with is what were we doing, what were we participating in, and what was the need for us to be part of that initiative that you were leading.
Okay, thank you. Maybe let me start back from e-constitution. So
Yes.
last year we were invited by government, to be specific, parliament, to review the constitution. For the very first time, we heard that this constitution gets reviewed yearly or biannually, which we never knew. So as soon as I saw the invitation, I went on TikTok to say, hey guys, it's Menyiwe, come, let's participate, because there are so many clauses that need fixing in the constitution. Then I said, I was just giving out my reviews. Gutimina, this is what I would love to see being reviewed. Then South Africans were like, no, you're going to do it for all of us. Please create a petition and then let's do it. And I did. And thanks to a number of people who came to the part, and joined in reviewing this constitution, because it was a whole lot of work. And I remember I was traveling to Vienna in Austria, and I was still reviewing the constitution, like reviewing the submission in my airport. But eventually we did, and we had over like around 32,000 people who participated in reviewing the constitution. And I'm mentioning this because I want to show you that South Africans, it's not like we are ignorant or we don't want to participate in these things. But if someone really takes a lead and guide us in how to do things, we are always willing to participate. And we proved that with the constitutional reform. But after we've submitted, we have not received the response yet, but no one received the response, so no news is good news.
Yeah.
I always say that because eventually they will have to respond to us. They can't just keep quiet forever. But after that, the campaign this year, it was that we participated in, it was a campaign year white paper on immigration, citizenship, immigration, and refugee protection. Yeah, nayo. So the government, the Department of Home Affairs to be specific, they released a draft white paper to be reviewed. So usually I'm a policies aid. So maybe just to educate South Africans, this is how I'm a policy aid to get drafted. It first become a white paper that gets released by a relevant department, a respective department.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a white paper. And then once it becomes a white paper, it goes to a cabinet. Then cabinet approves it. Then it goes to parliament, where it becomes a legislation. Many people asked why it is called white paper. Then that's how paper were color coded during apartheid. A British, British that came with that language of these policies. Now, yeah, when we reviewed, when they released that draft white paper, then same thing happened, because now it became the culture. And South African for constitutional reform was already like something that is known, because when we were reviewing the constitution, I was invited by so many media platforms. Media channel, television channels, and radio channels. So I was on every radio station in South Africa, which we also need to appreciate, because it shows Uguti media. We always thought media is against us. Kanti media is not against us. When I got those invitations from Mama DM, people like my producers, they get me from TikTok, they inbox me. And when you meet them, you can tell Uguti, they are also as fed up as us with what is happening in South Africa. But it's just that they can't say it. So they like go and say it on our behalf. Yeah, one. So that's what is happening. So we should not hate media completely. Yes, there are media representatives that are pushing a certain agenda, but not all of them.
Not all
So
of them.
yeah. So white paper we did speak about it ukuthi we are trying to control the migration system in South Africa and many things that we see happening with regards to immigration in South Africa, like our borders are porous, like it's like there are no borders at all in South Africa. Corruption at Home Affairs. So the white paper was addressing all those things, how we're gonna curb corruption, but also what the white paper was doing was bringing together or amalgamating a system that is fragmented.
Yes.
Which because previously citizenship was treated separately, refugee protection, when they were all fragmented. So the white paper was bringing them together.
Okay.
So yeah, that white paper is now in Parliament, and once it gets approved, it will become a legislation. So it's not yet implemented because after the cabinet approval, it still goes to Parliament for it to
the
become a
final.
legislation. So yeah, we are hoping that it will be released soon as legislation, so that things that are there will be implemented. I have to mention that not all the things we wished would be incorporated were incorporated, because number one, the very important thing that we wanted was for South Africa to withdraw from the 1951 UN Convention, which we signed, which Nelson Mandela signed. May his soul rest in peace,
Rest in
because
peace.
he
White
really
paper.
we understand what he was trying to do. At that time, we did not have many illegal immigrants in South
Yes.
Africa. Yeah, so he was trying to bring to unify the country, and and just play a big brother to the African
Send an
continent.
orange branch to people
Yes,
because they had
yes.
helped us and all of that.
He never anticipated Ukuthi Zinto will become, out of control like they are now. So we wanted South Africa to withdraw from that UN convention, because again, I want to educate South Africans that there are international treaties that we sign as a country
that bind us
that
to
bind us. Yes. Now, the international treaty, once you sign it as a country, it says, it means whatever policies you are creating within the country, national policies, they must speak to that. You can't pass a policy that that is not aligned, that contradicts the international treaty. So the international treaty, the 1951 UN Convention, the principle of non-refoulement, it says, do not turn back an asylum seeker when they arrive at the border gate. So you will never turn them back. Now, when I say it was signed without reservation, again, there are sections that say South Africa, because there are no reservations. So those people must be treated similar to citizens. So if you are giving your citizens a grant, you must give them a grant too. That is why they are getting ISASA grant as refugees in South Africa, including the ZEP and LEP holders. So people have been asking, and that's why you find some of them are also owning spaza shops without having invested 5 million rand in South Africa, because the court ruled that they must be treated the same as citizens. They must get free education. If we get free education, they must also get free health care. So it's their right to be there, unless they are illegal now, which we need to separate. People who have their asylum status approved, those people are legally in South Africa. They are like me and you. They must be given a job. They must have a stall in Johannesburg or Durban, whatever, but there is some vegetables like us. They must also go to clinics.
Basically,
and
they
have
are
access.
protected.
Yes, they are protected by the system.
Citizens.
So, yes, that's what we mean when we say it. We signed that thing without reservations. When you go to countries like Botswana, about Kenya, about Ethiopia, they signed with reservations, meaning they don't get economic migrants like us. They get people who are real refugees. In Kenya, they even have refugee camps, because they go and put them in those camps, meaning those people, they can't get in savings, they don't have access to free education, clinic, So that means when they get Yeah, they get funding from the UN.
Temporarily okwangempela
Yes.
because they can't put roots since they cannot
Yeah,
benefit from.
but then again, it becomes permanent because you put them in camps and you get funding. These NGOs now, they must be taken care of, which what Minister Ntshavheni said, to say when we decided to integrate them into communities so that they can, make a living for themselves because we can't afford to take care of them.
Yeah.
That's what she said when she was making an excuse of why we don't have camps. So the white paper is addressing all those things, but yeah, we are not withdrawing from the UN convention. It's not going to happen because that white paper says we are not going to do it because of diplomatical, I don't know, they said diplomatical risks or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what they said to us. But also what the white paper addressed is that now what's going to happen, I need to remember other things because it's been months now. So what the white paper also addresses ukuthi there would be digital systems. Because right now we are using e-paper. When you get to the border gate, bakbhale ephepheni, and we know corruption ngama-paper, even dockets in my police station, they get they get lost. So now the paper is trying to digitize things to say when you arrived at the border, the fingerprints would be taken, your picture would be taken so that we know how you look like when you arrived in South Africa, and also you tell us the address where you are going to stay. So now it's gonna be a system that is not controlled by just one person or it's gonna be digitized, and everyone will have access to it, also in the Home Affairs. But also one important thing that the paper is addressing is that there's going to be a special court.
A dedicated court.
Yes.
For immigrants or for refugees.
Yes. I was with my attorney friend the other day, which when you go to Randburg Court, what happens is that people who are there for South Africans who go there for real issues, like GBV issues, women would come there, having been abused, but now they can't be attended to because the court is busy attending nama immigrants who are being deported. So apparently they even have lawyers who are not South Africans there. Ubabhalele affidavit efanayo, it's like ushintshe igama enhle la but story siyafana. Then
whatever story will make them pass or make them stay.
Yes, make them stay. So apparently, magistrate would be like, okay, look at your case and say, okay, your first time offender, pay 1,000 and go. That's what happens.
Offender in terms of them overstaying their visas or
visas or being illegal in the country. It's a business money making scheme. Court end up having made 50,000 per day. So things are very chaotic when it comes to our court. So this special or dedicated court, it will attend to those cases only. That's what the white paper was saying. But also the white paper was saying now kuzoba khona the climate. There's something that has to do with climate change. Migrants, yes. When we saw not long ago there were floods in Mozambique. I think was it Mozambique where there were floods. South African
disaster. What they're gonna be looking out for people who are affected by disasters.
Yes. So it gets worse because that's one of the clauses that we asked which it gets removed. So we are looking forward to see the final legislation if those things have been removed, because it doesn't make sense that you already can't take care of what the people who are already in the country, but you are still inviting more. I mean, knowing Africans, umuntu kuzongena imvulanyana encane emkhukhwini wakhe la hlala khona, then uzo expect ukuthi simsave South Africa because suddenly they are now asylum seekers.
We also have flood issues in no
one cares about us. Also what we need to educate people about what do we mean when we talk about asylum seekers, refugees, because abantu bacabanga ukuthi we have to be fleeing war only a country. And that's not the case. You can be fleeing
And the issue of closest country or neighboring countries is Prince. I enforcegi somehow. What about that? Because I did read on your paper that neighboring country, it's like first safest country or something like that.
Oh,
That
yes,
doesn't
thank you,
apply.
thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
reminding me about that. So there is a principle of first safe country, meaning,
Yes.
yeah, when you flee whatever that you are fleeing from your country, persecution, war, and whatever, you need to go to the first safe country. Yeah, but the country that is near you, you can't come because right now South Africa is abantu ababuya le kude Somali, Ethiopians, North
Yes.
Africa kude le.
It could not
Yeah.
have been the first safe country for them.
It could not. Yeah. So what the white paper says now, they would look into when you get to the border gate, uthi you are seeking refugee status. They will check uthi where do you come from and how many countries you traveled through before you arrived in South
Before you
Africa. Yeah,
arrived
how
in
many
South
safe
Africa.
countries. But let me tell you what is the issue with that. I'm not
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
I
okay.
knew there was an issue, Kona. I
I'm
knew there
sorry
was a
to
way
be
they
the
could.
bearer of the
You
bad
are
news,
not,
guys.
sister. We rather be educated. We rather be informed. Kunokuthi sibe angry without being educated or
Yes.
informed. So kungcono khona ukuthi sazi because singaba as angry or as aggravated as we want. Ekugcineni kosuku we need to have this and sit down sibe calm silalele ukuthi kwenzakalani, what's really going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So now here's the issue with that principle. I do support it. It will work in some cases, but in some cases it won't work because South Africa is a direct flight from everywhere. There's a direct flight from Egypt to South Africa. There's a direct flight from Kenya and Nairobi to South Africa. So umuntu who took a direct flight to South Africa, South Africa is the first safe country ahlangana nayo. You can't argue that.
Huh? So the flights matter, not
It
geographical
matters, yes.
location.
Yes, it matters because many African countries are on a direct flight. A direct flight amaningi as South Africa. So I'm just saying that so that you guys are aware, so that when you go and fight, at least when we fight have from an informed position. Kuba ngcono, yeah. So that is the issue ngale direct flight. But then again, the principle of non-refoulement, where UN convention ethi ungamjikisa umuntu e-border gate, it says you must verify ukuthi indeed lo muntu was running away from a country because umbuyiseli umthetho uthi this person is vulnerable and is not safe until you verify ukuthi safe. So verification doesn't take 2 hours, it doesn't take a day, it doesn't take a week,
months.
yes. That this is where now ama camps abolindela comes in, which South Africa does not have.
Excuse me, Princey.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Based on the UN agreement that we signed, it turns out the government actually wanted to withdraw, but the Department of International Relations and Cooperation stopped them.
Yes, it's iqiniso. uLamula stopped them.
uLamula yena yedwa nje lesimaziyo.
Lo simaziyo yena yedwa, yes.
When was this?
I can tell you ukuthi uMinister Motsoaledi ngesikhathi sakhe, he's the one that proposed ukuthi we need to withdraw from this. Uphi manje bamkhipha nakulo department.
Hayi bafowethu lento mhlambe fanele siyenze i-video call. I don't know. Sis Princey, okay, what are we winning, Lana? What are the gains from the white paper? Because it seems the fundamental things that would assist South Africa to have some form of protection. I do see the digitization, because one thing I once spoke about having aliens in your country. They can do a lot of things and can get away with a lot of things because they're not trackable. They cannot be seen. They're incognito because of that manual system yokuthi izinto zibhalwe phansi. So there is an advantage from my end ukuthi at least there will be trackability, there will be visibility, of which also means ukuthi any business eliqalwa i-alien lizoyikhokha intela, hopefully. Like they literally participate in the economy. Because one thing that really breaks my heart currently as it stands as a South African ukuthi all of us in this panel are taxpayers. In one way or another, we are taxpayers. And most yalaba bantu, because they participate with informal economy, abawona ama-taxpayers, meaning they benefit from a system that they don't even build up in any way. We understand that, Leonto. So I think that's one part. But what else are we gaining from this part? Besides the fact that even the conversation being driven forward, the conversation going to parliament, going to legislation, it does make a difference in a sense that people, the relevant people are aware. But what else, Sis Princey, are we gaining from this so that this is Obanama positives and so that we can also know which areas we do need to push on when it comes to this? Because I can see that umsebenzi awuphelile.
Yeah, no, enhle umsebenzi awuphelile, which is why constitutional reform is the main thing that we should be pushing as South
It boils
Africans.
down to
Because
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
without pushing it, ama wins ethu azoba mancane. I can tell
Yeah, null and void.
I can tell you when we attended Home Affairs consultations on
Yeah.
this white paper, ama-story sawezwa lapha, I was depressed the whole day. Ayanda ngakutshela. Like I was depressed because number one, when you heard stories ukuthi government, really what we have is government that cannot govern. Government, yeah, that is dictated to by NGOs and judges in a court. Because whatever that they move that they're trying to make, NGOs are like. Yes. Now, one thing that one of many things that the stories that they told us. Number one, ukuthi there's a football player always at South Africa's odlali football. Imagine a whole football player. Then it happened ukuthi abe injury. Then wayiswa a public hospital. Yes.
Okay. Like only ordinary South African, melimala uyise public.
Yes. Wayiswa public hospital, that foreigner or football player, a public hospital, mistakes happened,
Yes.
his leg was amputated. Now, usiwa estate. Yes. This is us being generous. We are giving you free healthcare. We're giving you free everything. Now, Usiwa estate millions of rents because we blame us on for his leg having been amputated. Another story was there's a person who was fleeing death penalty in their own country.
Yeah.
Who is in South Africa. That is a high-profile criminal.
Yeah.
Now, when that person gets to South Africa at border gate, I'm fleeing death.
Yes.
It means made umthathe as a country because the UN says protect that person, the UN convention, but also our constitution, the Bill of Rights. Remember, everyone
person has a right
to life,
protection,
life,
everything.
all these things. And my figure like South Africa, this high-profile criminal, I got kept in a certain place. Or integrate to communities. That's why I was saying earlier interview, this is like taking a dangerous animal from a zoo, ibhubesi, letting it loose. Yeah, bese ucabanga ukuthi malifika ebantwini lizobehave njengomuntu.
Okay, I think that my next point of the agenda is Princey, because I don't know, in my mind I thought kunezinto I thought we had one indaba yokuthi umthetho ushintshe in its fundamental core. Even though I'm not saying what we haven't won, but we are moving forward, like I keep saying. But kuningi from what you've spoken about, highlight ukuthi lana kuzoba nomehluko, but lana some things are gonna stay the same. Lana sasayina ama-contract, ama-international contract, asibinda to certain legislations or agovernisa legislation. Abantu abangawazi-ke mhlawumbe umthetho ngizochaza nje kancane ukuthi in everything eyenzakalayo la emhlabeni, uma kuwukuthi you are part of G-Bani or African Union or all these countries or fraternities egovernisha ama-countries, whatever laws you agree on from that international level, they must trickle down and reflect on your national level as a country, and on your policies, even when it comes to your labor, your home affairs, your hospitals, all of those laws must trickle down and reflect there. Meaning whatever happens emhlabeni on the from the side of Vumekulo, it must trickle down, like Usisi Princey said. So we are really stuck on that part. And Sis Princey, you said something here about ukuthi to solve all of this, you encapsulate all of our problems to one thing: constitutional reform.
Yep, it's a constitutional reform. Just to add on what you just said, for signing all these treaties, how much it binds us. Then I mean, I would be making a big mistake if I don't speak about energy. I'm an energy person, guys. I inherited this constitutional reform working. A mistake. I'm a nuclear person. This is what happened. South Africa signed what we call the Paris Agreement.
Yes.
Yeah, Paris Agreement for climate change. Yeah, it says we must curb emissions to a certain degree Celsius. But what happened? We signed it in 2016. I always have to mention yes because people they always think a certain precedent was for us and a certain so it was signed in 2016. And when we sign these things, no one hold us at gunpoint. Our government voluntarily go and sign things. So that thing that we signed, it means it binds us. So right now, if you go and look for South African energy policy integrated resource plan, there's no new coal. South Africa is a coal country. Coal. We would rather export coal to other countries than us building coal power plants. NGOs fought that in court and they won the case to say remove coal policy because you said you are going to cap emissions.
Okay, can I just ask this, Princey? When you say in South Africa, one of our resources, natural resources, that we have a surplus of coal that could power us for neons, for years even.
Yes.
However, right now, ilahle uthi libheke ngaphandle. Are we not using it locally? Are we not creating new power stations and turbines and all of that? What's going on there?
Coal right now isebenza kulama power stations who are already existing or
pre-existing,
ngesikhathi saka-apartheid government. Okay, at least our democratic government built 2 power plants but uzosebenza lapho kuphela. You are not going to build new coal power plants.
And then what is if those NGOs are protesting, we bound ourselves to this, and then what is our remediation factor? What are we compensating? What is the compensation for that? As in, like, iziphi izinto esizenzayo substitute our energy needs? If we're saying we agreed to not do this, what was the program when we agreed to not do this? Did we have a plan of an alternative power source? Are we implementing that alternative power source? Iziphi ke izinto? Because we can no longer build a coal power station. Iziphi izinto esizenzayo ke as a country to boost the energy so that we can sustain as is.
I don't know if
you can. Yeah, I just want to follow up on that because since we're on this energy topic, on top of that, there was this thing that was reported that they shut down 8 power stations. That was actually what led to the load shedding. Is there any plan to revive those power stations? Or is it like, are they completely shutting down completely and then moving away to these new renewable energies? Yeah, you can just continue on that.
Okay, thanks, Bansi. Let me answer you first. Now, coal power stations, it was a plan but we never decommissioned them. After Andre de Ruyter, who was obsessed about green energy scam. Okay, I'm calling that because Trump calls it that, and I believe Trump is right. It's a scam. So coal power station 8 awazange shut down. The only coal power station that was decommissioned in Komati power station. So now this is what a big disaster happened when it comes to Komati. Komati was giving South Africa 1,000 megawatt of electricity. Then when Komati was decommissioned and it was repurposed with renewables, wind, solar and battery energy storage, then those things combined, they gave us 300 megawatt, from 1,000 to 300. And when I say 300, they are not giving us 300 24/7 because we are talking about intermittent sources. Meaning there are times when they are not available. And akukho nomoya eMpumalanga.
We don't have, and
There's
even
no
we are
more
the
in
least
Mpumalanga.
suitable
Yes,
country to have such,
yes.
because we're not a windy
So
country
they
and we don't
realized
have.
because right now they created a ghost town. Remember when we speak about industrialization, we are
Industrialization,
talking
yeah.
about, yes, we are talking about these,
Employment,
yes, big
families,
projects like
big
the
projects,
houses around the
infrastructure,
area,
housing,
mama bata
yes,
isemgwaqweni, the taxi industry, transporting people.
everything.
Then when you remove that, you are creating a
Creating a
ghost
dead
town.
town, yeah.
Yes. So economically, it's not good. Now,
So we crippled our own
yes,
electricity.
yes. So we never shut down those power stations that were planned to be decommissioned. But it's important for you guys to know, Guti, eventually we will have to decommission those coal power stations because they're getting old. Many of them were built 60 years ago. So
And are we
eventually,
not allowed to refurbish them or something?
now this is what happens. You decommission. Remember now, we don't have a plan to build new coal power stations. So what can happen is that you can repurpose them using what in nuclear small modular reactors, because now in nuclear industry and coal industry they employ almost the same number of people, because we are talking about dispatchable power, base load. I mean power that is available 90% of the time. Yeah, well. So that the plan you asked about the plan. So currently
Yes,
our
yes.
integrated resource plan, it has over 30,000 windmills, wind turbines, or wind energy. And then it has mostly renewables, almost half of it is renewables. Then you have 5,200 megawatts nuclear. Then you also have gas. So they have plans to do that. But when it comes to coal, what the minister said, they've given Eskom an assignment to look into how they can create cleaner coal technologies like the HELE, they call it HELE. Yeah, one. But we don't have clean energy, clean coal technologies in South Africa, meaning we still have to partner with other countries so that they create that technology, and we have to make sure that it works, and then we can do we can now consider or put e-coal back go policy when we have that technology.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it would result in less emissions, would be compliant with the
Yes,
thing
would be
we signed in
compliant with the
Paris.
Paris Agreement.
Paris
I don't know
Agreement.
why we are not pulling out of Paris Agreement, because what Trump taught us as the world is that you can remove yourself from all these policies. First thing he did, even during his first term, he removed America from this Paris Agreement. He went to say we are removing ourselves from World Health Organization. It's possible. So when our government say we should not remove ourselves from these treaties, among allow. There's no such a thing which you can't remove yourself. It's just that it comes with economic benefit. You get a lot of investors when you shout green energy technology. You see, yeah. So it's all about people who want to invest in your country, and nakona investors who are capitalists, not investors that really have the best interest of industrializing your country. And if you look into where this green energy comes from, it comes from Germany, because it was an economic decision for them. Because in Germany, it had a lot of power, and they came up with this green scheme agenda. And then, and then now they are selling wind turbines and these solar panels. So they want to, and their agenda, when you meet Germans, they will tell you the agenda is to deindustrialize countries. Now,
so they wanted to create a market for their own products.
Yes,
so
yes.
They crippled economies in South Africa, like they crippled us, Tina, because we have endless coal, and they bullied us into this. But can I just ask something, Prince? Because I feel like in an ideal world, Sis Prince, when we signed that deal in 2016 in South Africa, what was our plan besides the wind turbines, besides the solars? In an ideal world, Sis Prince, what should have happened? Courtesy sign the Paris Agreement.
The Zuma nuclear deal should have happened. Because now when we speak nuclear, we are also talking about now this clean technology.
Yes.
Yes. So Zuma thought, okay, I will sign this deal, and then I will give renewables people a big piece. Yeah, we are one of this pie. Yeah. Because what happened is that during Zuma time, they signed the bid window 1 to bid window 5 of renewables. And those
Okay.
bid windows, they are very expensive. Yola kripula Eskom right now because ugesi South Africa is regulated. So if
Yes. Yes.
Eskom buys ugesi from independent power producers nge 3 rand,
Yeah.
Eskom mele ayidayisele mina nawe nge 1 rand because it's regulated, meaning Eskom is losing.
Oh.
So that's what is happening amalama bid window kaZuma. But he thought they would allow him to implement nuclear. Kanti akabazi ukuthi he is talking about greedy people here. It's a big agenda. Then bamstopha nange nuclear yakhe. He did not achieve what he wanted to achieve. So the plan was to build nuclear power plants in the process.
Okay, did we have capacity in an ideal world? Did we have capacity to actually build those nuclear power plants? Could government have built those nuclear power plants the same way we had built Eskom, or even though Peda Eskom was built by those people? But did we have a solid plan, and who stopped us from the nuclear, besides the fact that the window opened and then private sector came in and ruined everything? But did we have, other than that,
We
what
did.
was going on?
We
Yeah.
did. I'll tell you, South Africa is the only African country in a nuclear power plant in Cape Town, in Quebec. Yes. So Egypt is currently building. So
Okay.
Egypt is building a plant that is bigger than in Quebec. So we had plans in nuclear. This is what happens. You same as other coal plants, and then you partner with a country, a country that owns a technology.
Oh, yep.
Yes. So the country that owns a technology comes and builds a nuclear. Like when you buy your car, after 20 years, the bank, your car belongs to you. So those countries, they operate the same. It's a build, own, operate, and transfer model. We are building nuclear power plant, but then obviously they employ people, and because South Africa has, we have a nuclear industry. South Africa, we also have a nuclear reactor that produces medical isotopes, which we are one of the best in the world when it
And
comes to.
apparently we actually have uranium,
Yes.
a highly potent, that I don't know, Trump or Obama wanted us
It's
to
highly
get
enriched. Yes.
yes, or
So
dilute it or something. Yeah.
yeah, so that uranium, the highly enriched uranium, was used because we once had nuclear weapons, bombs. So when the bombs were dismantled by de Klerk, we were left with the highly enriched uranium. But part of it was sent to America to convert it to low enriched uranium, because low enriched uranium is used in power plants and research reactors.
I just want to say something also. On the news, the 12th of May, Usbali, we country, or not Usbali, he recently acquired a huge chunk of land of this renewable energy company,
The solar
which
group.
makes which now makes him the largest.
Yeah, no,
shareholder.
My IPPs, the person who holds most of the IPPs, Usbarwet.
For like those small sectors of
who dominates the independent power producers space.
Yes.
And then we talk
And
about
Usbari,
state
over and beyond that, his
Yes.
company received most of our contracts with green energy.
Yebo.
So
Yes.
basibambe ngapha nangapha basiphethe.
Futhi bayalekelelana
Victoria
ngamanye
at
amazwi.
who is Usbari? Victoria must be
Victoria, suba slowly.
Can I let the
Victoria.
panel breathe bafowethu? Can you guys breathe? Amani, have your peace, have your say as we move on with the program. Busakhuluma.
No, I'm saying that, when you look at all of these things that are happening in our country, constitutional reform, ngempela, it is so important for us to focus on as a collective. And part of, just for the people to understand, part of the reasons why we've come together is for us to inform and ensure ukuthi a normal South African understand what's happening, especially makufika kwama policies and the constitution, because we can make noise all we want, and I think South Africans are generally frustrated with what can we do this, can't we do this? But if people are informed and we come together and we ensure that our uvo lwethu nembono yethu in contributing towards our policy and understanding the constitution yethu and where that will create a change that we really, really need. When they say we're in a democratic country and it's run by the people don't know what's happening. Hence, these NGOs benesibindi to influence our policy. These capitalistic organizations come in with the money and they bribe because corruption is rife in our country. Now, it's time for us to do something about it. And I think we'll be announcing very soon an event that we are all co-hosting. Njengoba siwu-5 on this panel, we will be having a live conversation, and hopefully we can then not only educate but generate a stable environment for us to have these dialogues, not only just dialogue, because my dialogue is but actually have input and change, because all of these problems are happening in each and every sector you can imagine, in finance, in water, in sanitation, in every single space on Kabangakson. So by us creating this community, we then create a chance for South African people to benefit from these policies and constitutional reforms. Ngizoyibamba lapho kwamanje.
Kwande Madube, ngicela ukukunika Sovereign ithuba. I'm going to have one more closing point. I think everyone will breathe on. Your 2 cents, Sissy, or 5 rands, whichever you have.
I am very much for constitutional reform because I remember Nguvise UAE, and the children lived a very different life from us. UAE, abantu bakhona biza ama-Emirati.
Okay.
They have all the oil money, of course, and Emirati is very distinct and a clearly privileged member of society. Angali, they have a lower population, but it means something to be an Emirati in the UAE, right? So it's like we lack that in South Africa. Like it means nothing to be South African in South Africa, you know? And when you look at the Emirati, when you look at the Emirati as well, the kids benefit from the wealth of the country. You know, I think I was hearing Guti, the state pays Abantwana of the country a yearly monthly stipend. That's why they become so rich at such a young age, because the profits from the resources gets funneled into the children. You know, imagine if that was implemented for South Africans, you know, and this is, I think we all realize, we realize we have work to do, right? But how can we even begin to say, let the resources benefit South Africans if everyone can be a South African? Do you understand that we, like, even if let's say we unlock the wealth that we have, do you understand that we'll be unlocking it for the rest of the world? It's not going to be just for South Africans. So this it's consequential. Like that's why it needs us to really pay, like, just sit with that.
Yes, guys, I'm sorry, and we need to claim our country back, guys. We have a responsibility. Someone was asking me, Uguti, at least we know the 1960 kids, Uguti, what they did, what they achieved. Tina Suzotis achieving as the current generation. Because our country is going, like it's like going right in front of our eyes. It's gone. So we need to claim our country back. Like we need a Madlanga commission in every sector, in every department, in every way. Right now, Madlanga commission is not working because it's just one out of, I don't know. There's corruption everywhere. You go to a police station, my police are corrupt. You go to Home Affairs, even the receptionist is corrupt. Like you go to Border Gate, like our country is gone, guys, and we have a responsibility to claim it back.
Ngiyabonga Sis Prince Ibanzi. Do you have anything to say?
You know, it's so sad. And I think in all of this, I'm just realizing that, you know, poverty has done quite a number on us. We are so focused on self-enrichment that we don't really care about what happens. Like if you put in a position, you just want to make sure you are fine and your kids are fine, not knowing that
Survival
ignoring
of the fittest.
exactly, ignoring the fact that the country that we are becoming, we first actually becoming a Nigeria, and because we let these things slide, you let the small corruption that you see slide. You see, like the minister who just got fired now. I mean, if you're telling me someone who's earning more than 250,000 a month can be so greedy that they'll even steal from a domestic work, want to take half of someone else's salary, that level of greed, Nje, is not. It's become a part of us, and that is what is destroying the country. And I think for me, I am not someone who's who agrees with marching and going to the streets, because that does not make the necessary change that we need. We need to understand what is it that how did we get here. First of all, we got here because of business influence.
Yes.
The only reason we were handed freedom was not because we fought and we were shouting. It was more of a business benefit more than anything. Otherwise, if there was no minerals in this country, if there was nothing that they were profiting they were profiting from, we would still be under apartheid. So the only reason that the entire global the West wanted, or even the businesses in South Africa wanted to, were supporting the handover, was because of the policies that the apartheid government, it was not profitable for them anymore. They couldn't hire just white men in these positions, and they needed cheap labor.
Surplus labor, competition.
You see, so that is exactly what we are finding ourselves. It's still the same business. Look at the people who are talking when we are saying we need to look at immigration, when they're calling us xenophobic. Look at those people. Look at what is it that they're actually benefiting. Look at how the people they hire go to Cape Town, for example. You will see. So what we need to understand basically is that these political parties are funded by business because it serves business interests. So we then need to also formalize ourselves and play the same game that they are playing. Understanding, so like for me, I support South Africans for constitutional reform, because we are playing the game. We are actually understanding how this ball is and how to play this game. So the next thing that we need to do is to also formalize and put money in it. Each and every South African that is affected or that cares about our country, we need to put money aside and so that we can influence political parties, because that's the only language they understand. Money. So we literally have to continuously have these conversations so that we can formalize and especially get the word out to people so that they understand that if we are not doing anything, if we are not influencing policy, if we are not talking to engaging these political parties, but the political parties, some of these are already captured anyway, so they're already serving their own interests. But we have to educate and make sure that we talk about this continuously so that our people can understand how this country is governed, how this country is influenced, so that if these ones are busy gonna start campaigning, we must ask the right questions. What is your policy? What is your view on this policy, on these on immigration and taking us out to these UN charters, so that we understand, they can then talk to a language. And I'd like us, maybe we should even invite some of them so that we can put them on the spot.
Yes, I agree, Banzi, because one thing South Africans is that we take it lightly. Ukuthi ama politicians njengoba belapha eParliament, they know everything. Abazazi lezi zinto, they don't even know ukuthi there's some abazi nokuthi kune UN convention.
Exactly.
Yeah, but abazi nokuthi kune Paris Agreement. What are the benefits? What are the disadvantages? Abakwazi lokho. So we have a responsibility. Ikho people shall govern, because we just have people esibathanda because they smiled nice. family, babekwe
And they were part of the
emakhosini.
movement or
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And you
Nabo
know,
baxakekile.
Abazi
Baxakekile
Nis,
lapha eParliament, it's too much.
and you know, the other important thing that we need to be aware of, we see Macha and Machi removing illegal immigrants in spaces and creating awareness, and now people know about it. But if we don't make sure ukuthi at the policy level and the law level,
Exactly.
we are not fixed, then it's
Exactly.
because it will keep repeating itself because the laws are not protecting South African and South African sovereignty. So we need to ensure what's got my policy silapho phakathi. Now, in order to change anything, and I agree with Ubanzi with the marching thing, I organized a national shutdown march. That is fine, but I don't believe that I must be burning myself in the streets every day and saying the same thing over and over and over to dead ears. Now, with constitutional reform, and the reason why I think we all support it is because yona ndlela in a sense. Because if we create and fund and make sure that we are involved, we constitutional reform, the organization as a whole, then you have a structure such as the Njengabelungu. The white people do it via
Yes,
these
and
NGOs.
And we also take this
structures.
government to court because we are a court to the
Exactly.
government so that we
Yes.
achieve what we want.
We
I
have
mean,
to.
with Iran manipulation, they received the memorandums. I've been making noise about it, but they won't do anything about it. What's the next option is to take them to court. But now, Kona, you need financial muscle, you need support, which is something that we don't have amongst each other as South Africans. We all have the same question: what do we do? What can we do? Oh, UNICEF, but we are not. We're not uniting in a purpose, and I really believe, guys, what's in this organization, SA constitutional reform, is one of the best solutions that we have in South Africa to ensure the safety of our country, the safety of our economy, our future, etc. So really, this is very important. I encourage each and every one of you guys who just join it at the event that we'll be announcing very soon, and just stay engaged with all these creators that are on this panel, because you will be very much informed, number one, not only in economics, but in finance, in life, in spirituality, because all these things, they touch on each other, and they do create a holistic picture. And without a holistic understanding, then you can't fathom the smaller things that are happening around you.
Yeah.
Can
And I
I
think
please
just to
speak to
close.
a response that I keep seeing in the comments? People keep saying we don't have money.
No,
No,
another
people keep saying funding, we don't have money. Guys,
No,
we
we
do.
do.
Can I just please highlight to you that
Yeah,
black
please.
people are the economy. You are the
Yes,
money.
they are harvesting us.
Black
Lava Bantu.
people, you are the money. That is why the fastest growing companies in South Africa have been Shoprite, Capitec, and even Romans also applies to this. But why? They were servicing black communities.
Good one.
You are the money. So you need to understand joining your rands together. Your rand, vele anyone, it means fuck all, you know? But if there's like 500,000 of us, suddenly we can take the state to court. So suddenly we have money for legal fees. Suddenly it's not that expensive, you know? So we need to get back to let me put in my 5 rand. Like we have to move as a collective, like, because I mean, look, we live in a capitalist world. So for the black voice to matter, we really need to have black capital.
Yeah.
And individually, asinayo, but collectively, it's a whole nother conversation.
You know, even on that, Sovereign, amongst just the 5 of us, we've got almost 1 million people that are following us.
Yes.
A simple 10 rands, you know, just alone with just looking at the township economy, to say about, to think about we don't have money. The township economy is a 900 billion rand economy. This is just 500 townships. 900 billion. That's almost 1 trillion. So, and that,
i-AfriForum yaqala ngama-10 rand. They built schools, universities ngalama-10 rand up. Okay, someone said comment we should not discourage people from marching. I don't think that's what we are doing, guys.
We're
no, no,
March
no,
has
we're
impact.
not.
We
It
agree.
is a layer.
Yes, there's a lot of impact that AMA marches have. It's just that they
It's
have
not
to be
enough.
intentional. It's not enough.
Yes.
Yeah, but they also have to be intentional. Yeah, but
That's, yeah.
As your host for the evening, I am honored. Kunento engifuna sithinte kuyo in our closure. What Sis Princey, the foundation of this live, I think, was kickstarted by the draft white paper. What other laws are you currently working on? What other legislative or papers, or what is currently going on, and what is government saying? Pay attention to this, or I'm open to hear you on this. Iziphi izinto ezivulekile at the moment that we need to support, that you need our support on? And I'm gonna ask everyone on the panel ukuthi basho ukuthi izona ziphi izinto abafila that we should be paying attention on. I did see the ZEP. I did see a lot of things, and I am following all of you, so I do know some of these things. But ngiyadinga ukuthi nje kule live, one of the takeaways is abantu abayogcwalisa ama-Google forms for which initiatives. Ngixolise kubantu aba-requestile bonke ukuthi we cannot really accommodate you at this moment, but as we are wrapping up the live, kusazoba kuningi, I'm gonna give my guest some closing remarks. But what should we be paying attention to at this moment? Iziphi izinto ezivulekile that requires support yethu thina sizwe? Sis Princey, I'm gonna start with you. Just 1 minute.
all right, 1 minute. Thanks, and maybe I think we should also talk about the recent ruling, asylum applications.
Yes.
What happened, because it became a big thing. Now
Yes.
that ruling, it says a constitutional court finally ruled in favor of us as South Africans, something that has not happened in a very long time. So this is what happened. The two Burundian nationals who arrived in South Africa in 2008, they came seeking asylum status. Then
Yes.
after some years, they were rejected, and then that rejection became final. But they did not go back home. They were held by AMA NGOs, one of them is Scalabrini, to take a government to court to appeal, to contest to appeal
The ruling.
the ruling. Yes, then government then they took government to the Supreme Court of Appeal, and then the Supreme Court of Appeal ruled in their favor. They must reapply. They are still in South Africa. That was now 2024. Then Home Affairs went to the Constitutional Court. Then Constitutional Court ruled in favor of Home Affairs. Once your application is rejected and it's final, go back to your country. You cannot resubmit the application. So this was a big news this week, and everyone was celebrating because finally, at least ama-judge ayasizwa. And this also helps ukuthi South Africans, let's learn these things and let's make noise about them, because ama-judge once azi ukuthi South Africans are watching us. Noma bejudge, they become very careful. Kanti previously they would judge and ngeke sazi thina sobona izinto ibheda. We don't even know there was a court case. Just like Liama Spaza Shop, because there was a court case in 2014 ukuthi ama-Somali and why nama-Spaza Shop land. Kwathiwa court ruled in their favor ukuthi they must start their own Spaza Shop. But what we are working on currently, we are working on two policies: PI Act, the prevention of illegal evictions, and what is it? Okay, yeah, but it's a PI Act that says people must not be evicted in Zabo. It was started with
without
those rights,
providing them with
with another alternative accommodation. People can just hijack lands. And then if umasipala gaba remove it at a certain time, then angeke basa remove at all, and then they'll be complaining to government ukuthi they don't have electricity, they don't have they need these resources, and nama building they hijack them. all the building in the cities, government akakwazi ukubakhipha. Nawe if uyamqashisa umuntu endlini, it's not easy ukumkhipha endlini noma kuthiwa akasayikhokhi rent. We've heard those stories ukuthi benza kanjalo because our laws are being manipulated. Foreigners have actually mastered the art
Our
of
laws.
yes, our laws,
Our
and they know how to manipulate them. So
Okay.
so we are reviewing that, and we are asking South Africans to complete the Google form that we is on my bio, so
Yes.
that we also review that policy, and then we see how we can help South Africans. Abantu abaningi, they think we are doing this for white people because we don't own land. They basho kanjalo. Kanti there are many black people who own properties.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are
And also,
in,
Nathi
like,
phela,
if
we're
you can,
empowering ourselves
yes.
to own properties someday. So
And even farms, if you can check my DMs, people, they come with these, you know, their problems, and they probably think, ukuthi I'm a lawyer, or maybe I work in in property. Kanti mina, I just review policies because I realized that there was a gap in South Africa. Everything is okay. South Africans are mastering everything, noise, matches and stuff, but they were not where they were needed. Where like draft more policy, you go and find Abo Helen Suzman kuphela, yabona, all the Abo Scalab, these NGOs, but South Africans are not there, which is something important. So I'm happy that I've managed to mobilize South Africans to also be part of policy drafting.
Okay,
And
yes.
this is a dangerous thing. You see, now we are seen as dangerous as South Africans because they never imagined us being in that space. Yeah. So the second one that we are reviewing is the a draft white paper on local government.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
interesting.
that paper, it talks about the municipalities, how they are being handled. We are seeing corruption in municipalities. We are seeing cadre deployment. Municipalities are like the centers for cadre deployment.
Iy'ngane zamakhomo.
Iy'ngane yes. We there's a water problem. Municipalities can't fix what they can't even manage infrastructure. Building are getting dilapidated, and people think when we talk about the state, we are talking about big cities. We experience a state, kuma municipality aid. So if one better, the state is better. And also, what I've seen people contributing, they want like the mayors, they want councillors to at least have metric. Ngoba une-council elingana-matric, like let's have a council elino-matric ke bakithi, yabona, into enjalo. So people are contributing to that local government, how local government is handled, and government they are creating this one-tier system.
Yes.
A municipality, because they had they called it district municipality. So they are closing
Ama-district.
Yeah. So they are doing all those things. So that's one of the policies that we are also reviewing. And if people can participate, you can check my videos on my timeline. I talk about those policies. But the last thing that is happening right now is that ZEP and LEP, Zimbabwean, these permits, these exemption permits, exemption permits, expire next year. And now Zimbabweans, I'm not going to talk about Lesotho people. I mean, it's very few people and they are not making noise. We don't see them. But Zimbabweans, they are saying those permits, now they never knew Uguti, they were temporary. Because they've held these permits. They don't want to leave South Africa. They've had these permits since 2000 and mang. It's been 18 years already. So how do you call something 18 years temporary? And they forgetting when they expired these permits, they forced the government they must renew them. So they kept on being renewed. Now it's after 18 years, they feel they are entitled to stay in South Africa forever. They are telling us bona they have built families in South Africa, they have home loans in South Africa. Because remember, I said when you hold these special permits, you are like a South African. You are treated like us. And they were given these permits because they were flooding South Africa when Zimbabwe was being sanctioned. They started coming to South Africa. So government was trying to control the illegal immigration system. Okay, let's give them this permit so that bazokwazi ukuthola imisebenzi in South Africa and live like normal people. But now it has come back to bite us. And it shows when you are governing the country, do not govern the country using emotions. You govern the country. Yeah, when even the constitution, you can tell ukuthi this constitution was drafted abantu who were emotional. South Africa belongs to all who live in it, because when you have been segregated by apartheid government, you couldn't think ukuthi that clause oyibeka phansi. Yes, you didn't think about the future. So our government is too emotional. We have people who are emotional in this country, leading this country. We are not saying people must not be compassionate. I always say compassion without control, it becomes chaos, and we are in chaos today because we were too compassionate and we forgot to control situations. So those are things that I'm working on. Thanks.
Sisi Princy, ngiyabonga kakhulu. I don't know if anyone has any points. I have 2 points before Sivale because we are closing soon. Anyone from the panel who has something of fun, let's pay attention to. But I do know Tuguti, all of these things, Sis Princy, are they are part of the links in your bio, right? We can
Yes.
support the engagements. And do follow Sis Princy on Facebook, because I found ukuthi guys in Facebook allow a link to Google Form more advanced when it comes to attaching ama form, attaching ama link, very link friendly. So do mina nje my Google Form for I don't know what I was doing for you for as part of what you're doing, Sis Princy, I joined it there, go Google, because it was just so much easier. But yeah, anything we should be paying attention to, Amani, Sovereign, Banzi, as we move? Hello, my panel.
But ngenza my live. Yes, guys, I've never done a live mina ku TikTok. I'm sorry, Aman.
No
Yes,
problem.
guys, ngizofunda. I don't even know how to do it live. We invite you, la.
Okay, any...
So Mina, I just
The
want
next
to
live, I'm gonna give direction on the next live, but for wait, I'm gonna give the topic, the direction, and everything, because
Yes.
I have been noting a lot of the conversation. Hence, I'm driving ukuthi sisheshe siraphe up. Sis Amani?
No, I just want to say what again, ngifuna ukugxila ekutheni people must follow all of these creators that you see on this panel
Yes.
today, because anything information oyidingayo and the planning that we have and the enlightenment and the information sharing is on our pages. So if
Yeah.
people could just ensure ukuthi maybe nathi we must shy away nje as abantu abamnyama on consuming content engasikhulisi, because that's how they capture you. So now let's move away from that and ensure that we are really paying attention to izinto ezibalulekile kuthina. Thank you so much, Enhle, for hosting us so gracefully, Mama. Sabong.
Ngiyabonga, Mama. Sovereign?
Oh, I have no closing remarks. I would say to everyone, take some of your time back by reading, and even maybe watching a long video that's explaining a policy.
Yes.
Again, if we apply our minds and we are conscientized about how our country is running, then we have a real fighting chance. You know, we can't just fight on the ground, we have to fight in the courts as well.
Kwande mtase, kwande ntombi. Ubanzi?
Yes, no, for me, I really want to say that let's support South Africans for constitutional reform. There's more updates that's going to follow in terms of how we're going to do that. But even for me, in my side on what I talk about, a lot of the things that are a problem, especially when it comes to states and all of these issues that affect us. A lot of these laws would need to be amended because it affects us. So if and Uprinsi alone can't do it. So if we could put in more resources in having people who could analyze policies, who can advise and write and draft and tell us what is it that we can do to change, then it can be a big organization that can actually start making the necessary change. So please watch out. I think for more information, I think Prince will then announce as soon as things are formalized and in terms of the direction that we'll be taking. And as also in the next live, definitely will be engaging with more people so that we can take in more inputs. Otherwise, that's all for me. Thank you so much for having me.
Siyabonga Bhuti Banzi. As your host and sister amongst all of you South Africans abakule live, I am so grateful for your input. I'm grateful for your time. Two key takeaways that I got from the live njengomuntu owake waya kwa-first year is that we need to host a live speaking on constitutional reform. We need to break down some of the things esiyibona zi-fundamental, ezi-critical for the constitution to be changed. But this is your homework as someone okule live ukuthi go and do your research around our constitution based on the things or think pieces you've gotten or received from this life. Izona ziphi izinto oyibona ukuthi ziyasiweaknisha from our constitution, because we don't want to host a live ezoba regressive in terms of people lacking knowledge ungazinani ukuthi constitution yethu ithini in the base. And then I think from us as the panel nathi we are going to go do homework yokuthi what are the key things that we feel must be changed. So all of us here are going to go and do that, but we are going to host a live. Our next live session is going to be about constitutional reform strictly. What are the laws? What are the clauses? What are the implications and direction of where we're going? Another thing Sis Amani touched on and the panelists they touched on was crowdfunding, because I'm seeing a lot of people abakhuluma ngama-10 rand nama account numbers and all of that. I can safely say we will communicate a platform or a means for all of you people to pour into Niphonsa Sivivaneni. We are going to be coming up with that very soon as to siqala kanjani ucontributor, how do we take this government to court for zonke lezi zinto engama-injustice ezenze kubantu bethu, and also how do we power this machinery okuwabantu abase-South Africa, young South Africans minds that are educated and that are willing to take the system head on and are willing to fight and defend izwe labo. So those are the two things I am wrapping up with. We are going to have a live on constitutional reform. 2, how do we fund our initiatives? How do we fund izinto zethu ukuthi ziye phambili? That I'm going to communicate. It's either with video sometime soon or I'm going to announce live. Keep a lookout for in any one of us ukuthi where direction that we're moving forward. Homework, go and do your research on the constitution. Ngale kwalokho nini soon enough, trust me, angiyena umuntu odebeselayo ke mina bayangazi nala ku TikTok. I don't take too long act. It's gonna be soon enough. By soon enough, it's just that I don't want to commit to something engeke singakwazi ukuyimela, but soon enough as in like soon enough. Nibani niba ready ngalabo 10 rand. Sizwe sakithi ngiyanibonga, ngiyathobeka phakathi kwenu. Kwande konke enikuphonsile namuhla, from your thoughts, your emotions, your time, konke ngiyabonga kakhulu. To my panelists, ngiyabonga bafowethu. Nibe nobusuku obuhle. Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Night. Oh my.